Hello everyone, my name is Simran Rudra. Today I am going to talk about Supreme Court's verdict on Hindu women's co-parsonary rights. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court of India has delivered a landmark judgment in Vinita Sharma vs Rakesh Sharma case. This landmark judgment was passed by a three-judge bench of Justices Arun Mishra, S. Abdul Nazir and M.R. Shah. In this case, the Supreme Court of India has held that daughters would have equal co-parsonary rights in joint Hindu family or Hindu undivided family properties even if they were born before the 2005 amendment to the Hindu Succession Act 1956 and regardless of whether their father has died before the amendment. In effect, the court has ruled that the 2005 amendment would have retroactive effect in conferring rights on daughters who were alive at the time of the amendment even if they were born prior to it. This right of the daughter can be claimed in light of the 2005 amendment and is curtailed only in case if the property has been disposed by other means prior to 20th December 2004, a cut-off date provided for in subsection 1 of section 6 of the Act. So before going into details of the judgment, first we should understand what is Hindu Succession Act 1956 and to whom the Act is applicable, and also we should understand the Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005 and what was the purpose of this amendment. Who is co-partner? Co-partner is a term used for a person who assumes a legal right in ancestral property by birth only. The Hindu Succession Act 1956. The Hindu Succession Act 1956 is an act enacted to amend and codify the law relating to intestate or unwilled succession among Hindus. That lays down a uniform and comprehensive system of inheritance and succession into one act. The act is applicable to everyone who is not a Muslim, Christian, Parsi or Jew by religion. Buddhist, Sikh, Jain and followers of Arya Samaj and Brahmo Samaj are also considered as Hindus for the purpose of this act. So the act is applicable to Buddhist, Sikh, Jains and also to the followers of Arya Samaj and Brahmo Samaj. Prior to 2005, the co-parsonary rights on birth was only granted to sons, grandsons and such, leaving out the daughters from acquiring the co-parsonary rights, but this changed in 2005. In 2005, the Hindu Succession Act 1956 was amended to remove gender discriminatory provisions regarding the property rights in the Act. This amendment makes daughter an equal co-partner by birth in her own right in the same manner as the son. The Act also gave the daughter the same rights and liabilities in the co-partnering property as she would have had if she had been a son. It was a revolutionary step in Indian legislation regarding the rights of women in India. So after understanding the Hindu Succession Act 1956 and its amendment, now we'll study about the case. How did the case come about? While the 2005 Amendment Act granted equal co-parsonary rights to women, questions were raised in multiple cases on whether the law applied retrospectively and if the rights of the women depended on the living status of the father through whom they would inherit. The different benches of the Supreme Court had given conflicting views on the issue, and the different high courts has followed different views of the Supreme Court as binding precedents. In Prakash vs Pulawati case, the Supreme Court has held that the right under the 2005 amendment are applicable to living daughters of living co-partners as on 9th September 2005, irrespective of when such daughters are born. In other words, the father co-partner had passed away prior to September 9, 2005, the date on which the amendment came into effect. The living daughter of the co-partner would have no right to co-partnering property. In Danama vs Amar case, the Supreme Court has held that the 2005 amendment confers upon the daughters the status of a co-partner in her own right in the same manner as the son. Thus, it confers equal rights and liabilities in the co-partnering properties to daughters and sons. This conflicting views of the benches of equal strength led to a reference to a three-judge bench in the current case. In November 2018, a two-judge bench headed by Justice A.K. Sikri had noted that the matter needs to be heard by a three-judge bench to settle the contradiction of views. Issue before the court. So the issue raised before the Supreme Court was whether with the passing of the Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005, a daughter of a Kopasana shall by birth become a Kopasana in her own right in the same manner as a son. In other words, whether a daughter could be denied her share on the ground that she was born prior to the enactment of the Act and therefore cannot be treated as a Kopasana. And the court's findings were: the property inherited as Kopasanari enjoined in the family or Hindu undivided family is passed on from one generation to another and held jointly. Prior to 2005, the Kopasanari rights on birth was only granted to sons, grandsons and such, leaving out the daughters from acquiring the Kopasanari rights, but this changed in 2005. While explaining the same, the court has pointed out that only Kopasanar has the right to demand a partition. The court also said that the goal of gender justice was achieved in 2005 when Section 6 was substituted in the 1956 Act to make the female heirs equal Kopasanas. The Supreme Court has explained that while the statute with prospective effect operates from the date of its enactment, but legislation with the retrospective effect would work backwards and also undo the impairment caused prior to its coming into force. This amendment too operates in future, but by virtue of its retroactive operation, it confers rights on the daughters at the time of their birth, even if the birth took place prior to the amendment. Thus, it becomes unimportant whether the father Kopasana was alive at the time of the amendment. Judgment. The court has held that the provision contained in substituted Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956 was the status of Kopasana on the daughter on before or after the amendment in the same manner as the son with the same rights and liabilities. The rights can be claimed by the daughter born earlier with effect from September 9, 2005 with savings as provided in subsection 1 of Section 6 as to the disposition or alienation, partition or testamentary disposition which had taken place before 20th day of December 2004, which means this right of the daughter can be claimed in light of the 2005 amendment and is curtailed only in case if the property has been disposed by other means prior to 20th December 2004, cut-off date provided for in subsection 1 of Section 6 of the Act. Since the right of Kopasanari is by birth, it is not necessary that the father Kopasana should be living as on September 9, 2005. In this matter, the court laid down the law as regards the interpretation of Section 6 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956, and thus it also directed the High Courts to dispose of the cases involving this issue in 6 months, since they would have been pending for years. So yeah, this was a video on Supreme Court's landmark judgment on Hindu women's Kopasanari rights. Hope you all liked it. Thank you.